bulk of the horses don't stay it out. And he said if it's a hard run race, they're turning home, they're gone, a lot of them. And that could apply to a good few of them. You've got to look at the real out and out stayers. The real out and out stayers. And let's start down at the bottom with Not to Remember.
Yeah, he stays all day. He ran a cracking good race in the Vars.
Yes.
And he's got to be a runner, this horse. He's just
Trigger
one
Finger?
of those horses that's there or thereabout.
Yeah, I'm just
Trigger
looking.
Finger rides him, which is a worry.
Might
but-
go early.
Oh yeah, but Danielson gets a chance on Canterbury Tale. Now I hear the
Is he
whisper.
good enough?
I hear the whisper. This is a runner. I
Yeah,
hear it.
I think he goes into the category of the horses who will stay the trip. He'll be fit and tight. And
His
as you
last
say,
run's a worry. You know,
yes, it is a concern.
Yeah, he's up against Seal, who he meets on much worse terms for beating him a length and a quarter. And I think that Seal's the class in the race with Blake. They're
Yeah.
the two best horses.
James,
in the race.
going back to the Derby, Patriotic Rebel ran well. Andy Delpeche is, I don't know if elected to ride this, but rides this young horse. Is it good enough?
Well, you know, Mike de Kock won the Gold Cup with a Thundering Star. I think he was a 3-year-old. He just turned 4, so it was the first day of the
correct.
year. And
That's right. He can do
He
it.
doesn't run these horses unless he thinks that they're the right
Yeah,
type of
correct.
horses. And I think that.
I'm going to ask you about the Humble Heroes horse, Joe Soma's horse, Wagner.
Well,
Galloper?
Yeah, I think he'll run a very nice race.
So
I
do
think
I.
he'll be there or thereabouts. I think this is more his trip. The July against those type of horses, when he was forced, he might be allowed to lob it in this race. But he might be better on a straight like Turpentine where they don't attack him too early.
Yeah, he might need the edge to come off them. Jeppy's Reef ran a good race last year. Wasn't beaten far, James.
Yeah, I don't think he's good enough.
Okay.
I
How
must tell you.
about the most
Walter's
improved-
other horse, definitely River Crossing, you know.
Yeah,
Sean Cormack sticks with the horse. That's always a good sign.
yeah. James, how about Kolkata? He didn't produce last year's race, but his prep for this year's race is good.
Well, interesting. I was chatting to Sean about it, and he said that he found, you know, he keeps saying blowing, and I don't know if it's meant to be private, but I'm sure he doesn't mind me saying. But they treated this horse because they thought that he might have a deep lung infection.
Okay.
And he says he's come on leaps and bounds since then, as he showed in his last run. He came from off them and won very, very well on July Day.
Orban Ferraris, you always got to take notice when he brings the horse into town. Sivu play, hard knocker.
Yeah, it's got a chance, this horse, and it's certainly trained on the high felt. It's got to have a chance.
Okay, let's go higher up in the ratings now. A horse like Egypt.
Well, I don't like talking about this horse. I did my money in the July. I really liked him in the July. I thought that he probably went far too early. They made a lot of use of him, chased him. But maybe that's the way he runs, and maybe he's not too good.
Okay.
But he's bred to get the trip. 1.4 million rand yearling. He might go and and ruin it for me, make it a really bad month. You know, can you imagine if he wins the Gold Cup and I backed him in the July.
James, I want to touch on others. Shogunner, will he stay? He's still a one-time winner, but he's placed in Group 1s or Grade 1s, and he's a very good horse these days. Will he go the trip?
He's always there or thereabouts. Definitely got to have a chance. The horse I like of Sean's is Gold Onyx, funnily enough. There's no reason why this horse shouldn't stay. He's out of Kaapstad Mare.
Yeah, Blackman Alush.
And they'll hold him up from a bad draw. He's got the best jockey in the world riding him at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. Did he win a Group 1 at this track? I think Gold Onyx did. He likes this track.
He won the Champion Juvenile. He won the Champion Juvenile. He really likes this track, and he likes to be held up. He's the type of horse, if they go a gallop, and he's able just to lob, and you can hold him up to the last 300, he's got to turn a foot.
Could
might
make
be
it,
the
James,
right horse.
could make it a super winter season for Chris van Niekerk.
Yeah.
James, Seal, his July run all wrong.
I don't understand the July run. You know, he came out
Ran
and
wide.
he won the Jubilee over 1,800 meters.
Beating the July winner.
You know,
Vodacom Durban July winner.
it makes no sense that he ran that type of race. Maybe he travelled badly. I know he came down from Johannesburg. There's all types of reasons. He's drawn 20 with 60 kilos on his back. Got it all to do. I prefer the chances of Blake. I think Blake beat him last year in the Gold Cup, and I think Blake will beat him again this year.
So looking for a Canama, a quick double for Canama. Blake's got to be a runner, no doubt in anyone's mind. James, Dean, staying with Dean Canama, Tarpan's been a talking horse for years. I think he's a problem horse.
Yeah.
But Dean said, well, no, let's find out how good he is over this trip.
He looks like he'll go this trip easily. I think that's what he's been looking for. He's a tall, narrow, angular type of horse. He's not a sort of Group 1 mile and a quarter horse. He looks like a Group 1 2 mile horse or whatever.
Yeah, so
maybe
James, if I can just touch on your feelings here. In the first race we discussed, the Champions Cup, you thought Michael de Kock had a stronger hand. In this race, you've got to say Sean Terry's got a strong hand. No doubt.
Yeah.
So they've each got strong hands.
Yeah.
And the juvenile features coming up can sway it.
Well, that's going to be very interesting, the juvenile features. Mike runs a couple of horses that really are unexposed, and Sean's got that...
For the lads?
Willow
Magic.
Willow Magic.
Some wonderful racing today. It's a day that you can't miss. You're going to go racing any day. Get down here on Saturday. It's fantastic. We saw the Vodacom Durban in July have become such a big day. This is a great day when you've got all these Group 1s. And James, I know just about to the last race, the season's going to hinge on that.
It's going to be fun. Let's take a break. We'll be back with Justin for Mark. Well, racing is one of those businesses which survives on youngsters coming through, and there's always a lot of talk about getting young people in the game, getting people that are interested at a young age, and we're very lucky to have with us today one of those people, Justin for Mark. Justin, nice to have you with us.
Thanks a lot, it's good to be here.
Now, your start in this game, I found out, was you got a Sporting Post at the age of 6 or something ridiculous.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. My second family when I was a youngster was the Heifer family, and Owen started winning form and Hollywood bets and whatnot, and he gave me a subscription when I was very young, and I literally learned how to read thanks to the Sporting Post.
So was there no racing in your family before that? Was your dad not interested in
No,
racing?
my dad is interested, yeah, he's very interested. He's a small-time punter, weekend punter, but he has a great interest for the game. He's been in it for a long time. And I just took the interest a notch up. I was lucky enough to meet John Fox when I was about 13 years old, and he kindly took me on as his apprentice on my school weekends and school holidays, and I was at Summerveld from a little boy learning the ropes.
And then from there you had a bit to do with Strategic News. Apparently you were in Joburg looking after him for the big race when he won the Summer Cup.
Yes, that's correct. Dylan came to John Fox as an assistant with a bunch of horses, and literally the day after my last final exam in matric when I was 18, he offered me the job as his assistant in the yard at the Vaal. So we went up there with 40, 45 horses and started a string, and we had a very successful stint for about a year and a half.
What actually happened there? What was the blow up eventually with Dylan? Because he looked like he was making it as a trainer.
Dylan was doing very well, but you know, when I met Dylan, the first thing he said to me with his racing interest was, if I'm not making good money out of the game after a few years, then I'm going to throw in the towel and try something else. He didn't want to battle for years and years, so although he was doing fairly well, it wasn't quite living up to his expectations, so he decided to pursue another career.
He'd become an airline pilot.
He's a pilot, not an airline pilot, but he flies privately for certain individuals, and he's having a good time at the moment.
Well, you know, it's interesting that that he would make an assumption like that. That this business, I've found, most people battle in it.
Yes.
Whether it be breeders, trainers, jockeys.
You know, most people are in it for life, really, and they stay at a certain level the whole way through. But if you have a passion for the game, like most people do, then you stay involved. But Dylan's quite an ambitious young guy, and he just wanted something else. You know, it's a hard life. You know, being a trainer is a hard life, and you need the support and the horses to make a good career out of it.
From there, you went and became an agent to Anthony Del Pish. That must have been fascinating.
Yes, yeah. I actually started with Glyn when I did his rides when Strategic News won the Summer Cup. And then he went to Australia. I just did his rides for a month. And then Anthony got back from overseas and offered me a chance to do his rides. And, you know, I took it with both hands, and I did his rides for just over 2 years, and we had a successful time. Obviously, he was riding for Mark de Kock a lot, but I learned a lot. It helped a lot, and I thank him for that opportunity, because from there, I've been able to take it a step further with other guys as well.
All right, let's just talk about being a jockey's agent. What does it entail? Because most people out there wouldn't have the faintest clue what goes on.
You know, the jockey's agent side of things is not well known from a public perspective. You know, people just think, oh, well, the jockey's taken this ride, that ride. But 80% of the time, 90% of the time, the jockeys didn't even know that certain horses were nominated in certain races, and it's purely left up to the agent to decide. Not all jockeys are like that. Some guys do their own rides. But the travelling jockeys rely on agents heavily to choose their rides and what they're going to ride in specific races. So the nominations come out on a certain day. Your jockey will be riding in PE or Durban or wherever he's riding, and you have to choose his rides for a certain meeting that the noms have come out, phone, deal with the trainers. And it's a pressure job, because if you're wrong, you look very bad, and if you're right, then it's sort of, oh, well, you're supposed to be right. So it's a very high-pressure job.
Well, the big thing that you were right with was this year's Vodacom Durban July. You're doing Simanga's rides now, and what a guy to be doing rides for. But just tell us about how the July mapped out, because it was quite interesting.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Gave me a few grey hairs, that, because
I don't know.
obviously
have you got
no,
colour
they're on the side. Yeah,
colour,
on the side.
colour.
That's why I have to cut it extra short. What happened there was, obviously Simanga won the Summer Cup on Wagner, and I think he had words with Joey and the guys that, you know, he was looking to ride the horse in the July as well, and he had rode him in a few of his preps. And then Heavy Metal came on the scene. We didn't have a ride in the Champions Stakes, the President's at Turffontein, and I have a long affiliation with Sean. And, you know, he allowed Simanga to ride Heavy Metal, and then Heavy Metal just came up and won. And he won. I was so impressed by the way he won. And you think with a run like that, you know, is it a flash in the pan type of run? And then he came out in the Pinnacle, and he won again. And then in the Jubilee, he ran an absolute cracker with 62.5. And that's when I took real notice of this horse, and I said, you know what, this horse has become a real top horse. He's no flash in the pan. He's just honestly that good. And when it came to choosing a ride for the July, he just stuck out for me, because I thought he'd suit Greyville. You know, he travels. He's got a good. He quickens well, but he travels better than anything, and he travels to the last minute. And you know, that'll really suit a horse at Greyville, and that's how it luckily panned out. And he had a good run on the inside rail, and Simanga timed it so well. So. But there was a bit of pressure, because we had to, you know, make a decision between Wagner and Heavy Metal. But I'm happy we made the right one at the end of the day.
It must have been difficult jumping off Joey's horse. He rode such a good race in the Summer Cup to win it. And were you convinced all along that Heavy Metal was the better of the two?
I was convinced. I was convinced all along. But it wasn't really the matter of which was the better ride. It was, you know, if Simanga had committed to riding Wagner, then it's not really if you have a better ride that comes along or not. You know, you have to be a man of your word and take the ride you committed to. But after speaking with Simanga, he was also of the opinion that Heavy Metal was probably the better ride, and he said to me that he hadn't quite committed to Wagner yet, so we went with Heavy Metal.
Interesting you say that about being a man of your word. The jockey that reminds me most of not being a man of his word was Lester Piggott. Do you remember the great Lester Piggott?
Yes.
Leading up to every derby, he was sort of tied to 4 horses, and eventually he normally made the right choice.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you think he had an agent helping him?
Probably not. Not in those days. I don't think so. No.
So, how do you know the form? You know, you get this weight sheet's got 100 horses in it. It must take a bit to. Do you go through the stables that you ride for first and see if they've got anything that can win the race?
Well, what I do when the weight, like as you say, especially for Natal, when the weights come out, there's 100 odd horses in each race nominated. So what I do is I select our highlights in different colours, our trainers. Like for Simanga, I'll highlight Terry, Mawing, Barent Boertus, etc. And then from there, I'll look at each horse's name, and straight away I'll know, you know, the horse's form, or where Simanga's been riding it, or what is a better ride. And then you don't really have time to go on the computer and form grids and check the form, because Striker's agent's phoning, Anton's phoning, Robbie Frad's agent's phoning. They all want the same ride, so you have to be quick. And yeah,